One of the greatest traps in life is comparison. The moment we look at someone else's success and measure our worth against it, we lose peace. Yet, a woman who never quits has discovered the secret. She does not compare her journey with anyone else's. She knows that comparison is a thief of joy, and instead of measuring herself against others, she measures herself against who she was yesterday. That is why she remains free, focused, and fulfilled, no matter what stage of life she is in. When she sees others rising, she doesn't feel threatened. She celebrates them because she understands that their success does not diminish her own. Life is not a race where only one person can win. It is a journey where everyone has a unique path, unique timing, and unique lessons. She knows that flowers bloom at different times. Roses, sunflowers, lilies, each have their own season. Just because one blooms earlier doesn't mean the others are less beautiful. She carries this truth in her heart, and it keeps her from falling into the trap of envy. Comparison, she knows, is dangerous because it often makes people overlook their own blessings. Instead of appreciating what they have, people waste energy chasing someone else's life. But this woman refuses to do that. She looks at her own struggles, her own victories, her own growth, and finds gratitude in them. Gratitude becomes her shield against comparison because she understands that what she has today is something she once prayed for. Imagine two women starting their careers at the same time. One may achieve promotions quickly, while the other faces setbacks and slower growth. The one who compares will feel like a failure, even if she is progressing at her own pace. But the one who doesn't compare will keep working steadily, learning from each challenge, and eventually, her persistence will carve out her own success story. This is exactly the attitude of a woman who never quits. She stays focused on her lane, knowing that her race is hers alone. She also understands that people only show parts of their lives, never the whole picture. On the outside, someone may look like they have everything together, but behind closed doors, they may be struggling silently. She refuses to let illusions trick her into dissatisfaction. Instead, she values authenticity over appearance, substance over show, and depth over display. This mindset keeps her grounded and content even in a world obsessed with comparison. By not comparing, she also preserves her mental strength. She doesn't waste time feeling inferior or superior. She doesn't waste energy competing where there is no real competition. Instead, she channels all that energy into becoming better, wiser, and stronger than she was yesterday. Each day, she asks herself, am I growing? Am I learning? Am I improving? That is the only standard that matters to her. Her refusal to compare also inspires others. People notice her peace, her confidence, and her joy, and they wonder how she maintains it. The answer is simple. She has chosen to walk her own path without looking sideways. She knows life is not about being ahead of others. It's about being true to herself. This quiet wisdom allows her to move through life with dignity, grace, and freedom. Just as no two fingerprints are the same, no two journeys are the same. She embraces her individuality fully, knowing that her story was written for her alone. And because she never compares, she never quits. For she is too busy living her own story to be distracted by someone else's. Faith is an invisible strength. It cannot be touched or measured, yet it has the power to move mountains. A woman who never quits draws her courage from faith. She knows that life will often bring uncertainty, storms, and challenges far beyond her control, but it is her faith that keeps her steady when everything around her feels unstable. Without faith, fear takes over, but with faith, she rises even in the darkest of nights. Her faith may be in different forms. It could be faith in a higher power, faith in her own purpose, or faith in the idea that every challenge has meaning. Regardless of where it rests, this faith becomes her anchor. It whispers to her when doubts surround her. You are stronger than you think. This moment will pass. Keep moving. She doesn't need to see the entire staircase to take the first step. Her faith convinces her that each step will appear as she moves forward. When fear tries to paralyze her, she turns to faith. Fear says, "What if you fail?" But faith replies, "What if you succeed?" Fear says, "You are alone," but faith answers, "You are never truly alone." Fear magnifies the problem, but faith magnifies the possibility. And so, she chooses faith over fear, courage over hesitation, and persistence over quitting. Imagine a woman who is about to start something new, a business, a project, or even a personal dream. The world around her tells her she doesn't have the resources, the support, or the certainty of success. Many would back away, consumed by fear. But she moves forward because her faith tells her that effort is never wasted, that even if she stumbles, she will rise wiser. This courage does not come from her circumstances. It comes from the quiet voice of faith within her heart. Faith also gives her patience. She understands that everything in life has timing, and just because something hasn't happened yet does not mean it never will. Faith allows her to wait without losing hope, to endure without losing joy. She trusts that delays are not denials, that challenges are not punishments, and that pain often carries hidden blessings. This mindset gives her the courage to hold on when others would let go. Her faith does not make her Namvi, it makes her resilient. She knows that life will not always go smoothly, but faith assures her that no struggle is meaningless. Every tear has its purpose, every setback has its lesson, and every ending leads to a new beginning. This belief keeps her spirit unbroken, no matter how many trials she faces. Her courage, born of faith, also inspires others. People see her walking with dignity even when she has no clear answers, and they wonder where her strength comes from. What they don't realize is that her strength is not hers alone. It comes from the source of her faith. It is that invisible current beneath the surface that carries her forward when her own energy seems exhausted. Faith is like a lamp in her hands. It may not light up the whole road, but it gives enough light for the next step. And with every step, her courage grows. This is why she never quits, because even when everything seems impossible, her faith reminds her that with persistence, patience, and trust, what once looked impossible will one day become inevitable. Many people wait for big milestones to celebrate: the promotion, the house, the award, the recognition. But a woman who never quits has learned a different wisdom. She celebrates the small victories along the way. She understands that greatness is not built in a single moment of glory, but in countless small steps taken with persistence. Each tiny step forward is proof that she is still moving, still growing, still becoming. And that alone is worth celebrating. She knows that waiting only for big achievements creates unnecessary pressure. If she only celebrated when she reached the mountaintop, she would miss the beauty of the climb. That is why she pauses to acknowledge every little progress, a completed task, a small improvement, a quiet act of courage, or even a day when she simply refused to give up. These moments may look ordinary from the outside, but she treasures them because she knows they are building the foundation of her larger success. Celebrating small victories gives her motivation. Progress may sometimes feel slow, but by recognizing even the tiniest achievement, she reminds herself that movement is happening. Just like a drop of water may seem insignificant, yet countless drops fill an ocean. Each small step she takes adds up to something far greater over time. By celebrating, she fuels her spirit and keeps her journey alive with energy and hope. Imagine a woman training for a marathon. On the first day, she can barely run a mile without stopping. Many would feel discouraged and give up. But she notices her progress: 1 mile today, 1.5 tomorrow, 2 miles the next week. Each step is celebrated because she knows those small gains are what will one day allow her to finish the race. Her joy in the little victories becomes her fuel to keep running. Even when the finish line feels far away, her celebrations are not always loud or public. Sometimes it is a simple smile to herself, sometimes it's writing in her journal, sometimes it's whispering gratitude in prayer. The form doesn't matter. It is the acknowledgement that counts. She knows that if she doesn't honor her progress, she risks overlooking it, and if she overlooks it, she risks losing her motivation. By appreciating the present moment, she strengthens her ability to persevere. Celebrating small victories also protects her from discouragement. Life often presents more challenges than rewards, and progress is not always immediately visible. But when she looks back at how far she has come, even through little wins, she sees proof that she is moving forward. This proof silences the voice of doubt and replaces it with determination. Her attitude becomes contagious. Others around her see how she finds joy in simple progress, and they too begin to recognize and value their own small victories. In a world that constantly pushes people to chase after the next big thing, she becomes a reminder that fulfillment can be found in the journey itself, not just in the destination. Each small victory she celebrates becomes a brick laid on the path toward her bigger dreams. And by building step by step, she ensures that her foundation is strong. She doesn't rush. She doesn't quit. She simply honors each part of the journey, knowing that the joy of the process is just as important as the achievement at the end. Criticism is something no one can escape, no matter what we do. People will always have opinions, sometimes encouraging, but often discouraging. A woman who never quits understands this reality. She knows that if she allows criticism to control her, she will spend her life dancing to the tunes of others, never truly living her own purpose. That is why she rises above criticism. She listens, she filters, and she chooses to move forward without letting negative voices define her worth. She knows that criticism is like background noise. It will always be there. Some of it may be useful, pointing out areas where she can grow, and she takes that with humility. But much of it is unnecessary negativity born from jealousy, misunderstanding, or the insecurity of others. She refuses to carry the weight of every opinion on her shoulders. Instead, she discerns which words are lessons and which are distractions. Rising above criticism doesn't mean she ignores it completely. It means she learns to see it from the right perspective. If someone criticizes her out of genuine care, she listens with gratitude. But if criticism comes only to tear her down, she doesn't waste her energy defending herself. She knows that her life, her actions, and her results will speak louder than any critic ever could. Silence, persistence, and consistency become her greatest responses. Imagine a woman stepping into leadership. The moment she begins to shine, voices around her rise, some cheering, some mocking, some doubting. If she listens to every word, she will become paralyzed, unable to move. But instead, she stays focused on her work, proving her strength through her commitment. Over time, the noise fades, and her results become undeniable. She rises not by arguing with critics, but by showing through her actions that she cannot be stopped. Criticism, she knows, is often a reflection of the one giving it, not the one receiving it. People project their fears, insecurities, and frustrations onto others. By understanding this, she refuses to take negative words personally. Instead of being crushed by them, she uses them as motivation to grow stronger. Each criticism becomes fuel, reminding her that she must be doing something significant if people feel the need to comment. Her ability to rise above criticism gives her freedom. She is not enslaved by the need for approval. She doesn't chase validation because she knows her worth is not dependent on applause or acceptance. This freedom allows her to take bold steps, to make courageous choices, and to walk paths that others are too afraid to walk. Even if the whole world doubts her, she moves forward because her confidence comes from within, not from external voices. Her resilience in the face of criticism also inspires others. People see how she continues to move gracefully despite being judged, and they too learn to stop letting negative words hold them back. She becomes a living reminder that no critic has the power to write her story. Only she does. And by refusing to quit, she shows that the best way to silence doubt is not through words, but through unwavering persistence. Criticism will always come, but she rises above it like a bird soaring above storms. The winds may roar below, but she chooses to fly higher, where the noise can no longer reach her. And in that higher space, she finds the peace and focus she needs to keep going, no matter what the world says. My friends, life is not about how many times we fall, but about how many times we rise after falling. There is something truly extraordinary about a woman who refuses to quit in there. Her strength doesn't come from an easy life, but from facing challenges that could break anyone else. Yet she chooses to rise again and again, stronger each time. A woman who never quits does not live for applause, nor does she stop because of criticism. She understands that storms don't last forever, but the lessons from those storms can shape her destiny. She is like the river that cuts through rock, not because of her power in one moment, but because of her persistence over time. This kind of woman may not always have the loudest voice, but her actions echo louder than words. She teaches us that setbacks are not the end. They are simply pauses before a greater comeback. Failure is often painted as a dark, heavy word. The moment we hear it, our minds immediately associate it with shame, disappointment, or defeat. But the truth is, failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of success. A woman who never quits understands this deeply. She knows that failing is not a sign of weakness, but rather a sign that she was courageous enough to try. Most people never even attempt because they fear failing. But she, with her strength and persistence, sees failure as a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. Think about it, the most successful inventions, movements, and even revolutions in history were born through countless failures. The light bulb wasn't discovered in one try. It was thousands of failed attempts that eventually brought light into our homes. Imagine if, after a few failures, the inventor had quit. The world would have remained in darkness. Similarly, in the journey of a woman who never quits, failures are not dead ends. They are detours guiding her to a better road. When she faces a setback, she doesn't sit in self-pity asking, "Why me?" Instead, she asks, "What is this trying to teach me?" This simple shift changes everything. Failure then becomes her teacher, not her enemy. Each mistake becomes a lesson. Each fall becomes practice in rising, and each rejection becomes redirection. She begins to see failure not as a sign that she is unworthy, but as proof that she is in motion, that she is alive, that she is striving for something greater. You see, life has a strange way of testing us. The path to anything worthwhile is never a straight highway. It is always a winding road with bumps, potholes, and sharp turns. Failure is like those bumps. If we stop at the first bump, we will never reach our destination. But if we keep driving, adjusting, and learning from the journey, eventually we arrive where we were meant to be, That is exactly how this woman views her failures. She doesn't stop at the bumps. She keeps going. She also knows that failure builds character. Success can make people proud, sometimes even arrogant. But failure humbles us. It teaches patience, compassion, and perseverance. It reminds us that we are not perfect, and that's okay. This humility, combined with persistence, becomes the foundation of her strength. She wears her failures like medals, not scars. Because each failure means she had the courage to move forward when others stood still. Let us imagine a woman who starts a small business. She invests her savings, pours her energy into it, and yet the business doesn't work out. Many people would stop there, too afraid to try again, but not her. She studies the mistakes, understands where she went wrong, and starts again, this time wiser, stronger, and more prepared. And even if she fails a second time, she knows it is still progress. Why? Because the second attempt carries with it the lessons of the first. Eventually, her persistence pays off, and she builds something extraordinary. This mindset is what sets her apart. While most people let failure define them, she lets failure refine her. She becomes sharper, more resilient, and more unshakable each time she falls. She knows that failure is not falling down, it is staying down. And because she refuses to stay down, she transforms every setback into a stepping stone towards success. Pain is a universal experience. Everyone goes through it in one form or another. Physical, emotional, or even silent inner pain that no one else can see. But what makes a woman who never quits extraordinary is not that she avoids pain, but that she transforms it. She doesn't allow pain to break her spirit. Instead, she uses it as a hidden source of strength. While others may see pain as a curse, she sees it as a fire that purifies, molds, and refines her into someone stronger than she was before. When challenges come, she does not deny the existence of pain. She feels it fully. She cries when it hurts. She bends when it becomes unbearable. But she never allows herself to break. Pain becomes a reminder that she is alive, that she is growing, and that her journey is leading her towards something meaningful. It's like how gold is purified in fire. The more it is exposed to heat, the more impurities leave it, and the more valuable it becomes. In the same way, her pain does not diminish her worth. It increases it. Many people allow pain to make them bitter. They carry resentment, anger, or hopelessness. But she chooses differently. She channels her pain into purpose. When life wounds her, she doesn't sit in despair, but instead asks, how can I turn this into strength? How can I use this to uplift myself and others? In that very moment, her pain becomes fuel. For some, pain paralyzes. For her, it mobilizes. It gives her energy to rise, to fight, and to keep going when others would have given up. Think about the times in life when you were most shaped as a person. Was it during days of comfort? Rarely. It is often during moments of heartbreak, struggle, or hardship that we grow the most. That's the secret she knows too well. She understands that the valleys of life, the nights of tears, And the moments of loneliness are not signs of defeat. They are training grounds for greatness. Without pain, strength would never be born. Without struggle, resilience would never be discovered. Imagine a woman who has faced deep personal loss. Perhaps she lost someone she loved, or a dream she worked for crumbled before her eyes. For most, this pain would be an excuse to stop living fully. But she chooses to keep going, not because it is easy, but because she knows that if she allows pain to hold her down, she will never rise to see the sunrise again. Over time, she learns to turn her grief into compassion, her heartbreak into wisdom, and her scars into testimonies that inspire others. She understands that pain has two faces. One face whispers, "You are finished." The other face whispers, "You are being prepared." She chooses to listen to the second voice. She sees pain as preparation for something greater, an opportunity to grow into the kind of person who can endure storms and still smile at the rainbow afterward. Most importantly, her strength in pain becomes a silent example to the world. Others look at her and wonder how she keeps going despite everything she has endured. They see her courage, her resilience, and her dignity, and they too find inspiration. In this way, her personal pain becomes a collective source of hope for others. What once tried to break her ends up empowering countless lives. Pain is not her prison, it is her classroom. It does not weaken her, it awakens her. Every wound makes her wiser. Every tear waters the soil of her growth. And every struggle adds another layer of unshakable strength to her character. In a world that constantly shifts its definitions of success, beauty, and worth, there is something rare and powerful about a woman who stays rooted in her values. She is not swayed by trends, nor is she easily shaken by the opinions of others. Her values act like the deep roots of a tree. Storms may come, winds may blow, but because her foundation is strong, she does not topple. She bends, she sways, but she stands firm. Values are not glamorous. They do not bring immediate applause or popularity, but they are the quiet anchors of character. This woman understands that talent may open doors, but it is values that keep those doors open. She chooses honesty when lies seem easier. She chooses kindness when bitterness would be more satisfying. She chooses humility when pride would get her noticed. And each of these choices strengthens her from within, even if no one else is watching. When she faces challenges, her values become her compass. In times of confusion, when everything seems uncertain, she does not panic. She asks herself, "What do I believe in? What truly matters to me?" And the answers keep her steady. She may not always know what tomorrow holds, but she always knows what she stands for. That clarity gives her a quiet confidence, even when life throws chaos her way. Consider a woman in a workplace surrounded by competition, gossip, and shortcuts. It would be easy for her to join in, to compromise her principles just to get ahead. But she doesn't. She continues to work with integrity, even if it means slower progress. She continues to speak with respect, even if others choose cruelty. She continues to stay true to herself, even if it costs her immediate rewards. Eventually, her consistency builds trust, and people know her not for her titles, but for her character. Staying rooted in values is not always easy. In fact, it often comes with sacrifice. It may mean losing opportunities, standing alone, or being misunderstood. But this woman knows that temporary sacrifices are worth it if it means preserving her integrity. She would rather walk a harder road with dignity than an easier road with regret. And this is what makes her unshakable. Values also give her resilience in failure and humility in success. When she fails, she does not lose her sense of worth because she knows her value is not measured by achievements. And when she succeeds, she does not become arrogant because her values remind her that success is a responsibility, not a trophy. This balance keeps her steady when others are tossed between extremes of pride and despair. Her values are not only for herself, they ripple outward. Children, friends, colleagues, even strangers. Everyone who encounters her feels her consistency. They know she is someone they can rely on, someone whose word means something. In a world where so much is uncertain, she becomes a source of stability simply because she chose to live by timeless principles. It's easy to be influenced by external forces, media, peers, trends, or circumstances. But she chooses differently. She knows that values are not found outside, they are cultivated inside. And once she has rooted herself in them, no external force can uproot her. That inner strength becomes her armor in times of struggle and her crown in times of triumph. Like a tree rooted deeply in the earth, she draws nourishment from her values. The world may only see the leaves, the flowers, or the fruits of her life, but the real secret lies underground, hidden in the roots. Without them, nothing else could survive. She never forgets this truth. And so, she continues to stand tall, not because the world always supports her, but because her roots never fail her. Water is one of the most fascinating elements of nature. It has no rigid shape, yet it can fit into any container. It can flow gently or carve valleys through solid rock over time. It can refresh, nourish, and even destroy depending on the circumstances. A woman who never quits learns to adapt like water. She understands that life will not always go according to her plans, and instead of resisting, she flows with the changes, finding strength in flexibility. Rigidity breaks under pressure, but flexibility bends and survives. She knows that being stubborn about how things should be only leads to frustration, while acceptance and adaptability open doors to possibilities she never imagined. When a path is blocked, she doesn't stand there endlessly waiting for it to open. She looks for another route, another way, just as water finds cracks, corners, and channels to keep moving forward. Adaptability does not mean she lacks principles or that she blindly accepts everything. No, her values remain her foundation, but her methods are fluid. She can change her approach without changing her purpose. If life asks her to shift directions, she does so gracefully, without losing sight of the bigger picture. For her, adaptation is not a compromise, it is wisdom. Think of a woman facing unexpected challenges. Maybe she planned a career in one direction, but circumstances pushed her into another field. Instead of lamenting the lost opportunity, she embraces the new path, learns the skills, and turns it into success. Later, she realizes that the detour wasn't a mistake at all. It was a redirection towards something even better. Her ability to adapt keeps her moving, while others might stay stuck in disappointment. Life's changes often come suddenly, like storms. A rigid mindset fights the storm and gets crushed, but she, like water, flows around obstacles. She accepts the storm, endures it, and then continues her journey when the skies clear. This doesn't mean she avoids pain or discomfort. It means she refuses to be paralyzed by them. Adaptation gives her the strength to grow in new directions, just like water nourishes the soil wherever it flows. Adaptability also makes her resilient in relationships, work, and personal growth. In relationships, she understands that people change, and instead of clinging to how they used to be, she accepts who they are becoming and adjusts how she interacts with them. At work, she learns new skills, adapts to new environments, and embraces innovation instead of resisting it. In her personal journey, she is willing to let go of old versions of herself that no longer serve her, embracing growth without fear. This fluidity gives her a calm strength. People around her may panic when plans collapse, but she remains composed. She knows that nothing stays the same forever, not seasons, not challenges, not even struggles. Just as rivers keep flowing, she keeps moving, trusting that life's currents will carry her where she needs to be. Her adaptability becomes her superpower, allowing her to thrive in situations where others might feel defeated. She doesn't fight the flow of life, she works with it. That's what makes her unstoppable. Water, after all, can seem soft and gentle, but over time, it carves canyons and reshapes landscapes. In the same way, her quiet adaptability shapes her destiny. She doesn't need to be forceful to be powerful. Her persistence, like flowing water, transforms everything it touches.